Good day to you all. If you will please put your palms together for a meditation reading. I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. I have just one day, today, and I am going to be happy in it. Groucho Marx. If you would please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo. I read that opening meditation by Groucho Marx. Groucho Marx was a comedian, an actor, and a TV game host. And he started his career in the 30s. And in the 40s, he made movies with his brothers called the Marx Brothers. It was Zeppo, Harpo, Chico, and Groucho. So, and he was a little risque for his time, but he was very philosophical in a way also. So I think, he's just, for me, I think just that quote he comes up with just fits right into what the theme of the Dharma message is. I read this meditation by Groucho Marx, and he talks about being happy. Well, the definition of happy is feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. It is also means fortunate and convenient. There are many other words that mean happy, and it's cheerful, content, which is a state of peaceful happiness. Then there's delight, there's ecstatic, there is elation, and there's joy. And, we want this constant state of happy. But I have a question. Can we be happy all the time? Due to circumstances, situations, just natural causes, that happiness may only last a very short time. But we want it to continue, and we want it to be all the time. But nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. We may be happy, and we fall or trip, or maybe someone takes something away from us. That's when unhappiness occurs in our life. So nothing is ever permanent. But we want that constant state of being happy, being joyful, being peaceful. But Buddhism teaches us that in situations of happy, of sad, of joy, of sorrow, of suffering, changes constantly. And when we want to get back into that state of happy, we try our best to figure out how to get back into that level, that state of happy. But can we? Can we ever reach that level again? And if you think about it, without experiencing sadness or sorrow or suffering, how are we to know what happy is? So life is, we have to experience all opposites. So when there is unhappiness and a situation changes it, it lifts up that unhappy and makes us happy. So experiences, we have to experience those those emotions. And I know it's not the best state when we have to reach those states of unhappy or the states of sadness and sorrow. But the teachings teach us. Let me guide you. Shakyamuni Buddha guides us into seeing what life is, the nature of life. We have a tendency to be greedy. We want that state of happy all the time. And when we don't get it, what happens? We get angry and we find ways to make that happy come back. But it doesn't always work that way. Our suffering is just an everyday experience. And when that suffering is healed, then that state of happy comes. But then in an instant, it's gone. It is our ego that plays a big part in this state of happy. If we don't get what we want, greed, and we get angry because we don't get it back. We get impatient because we want it now. Our life is focused on the constant, is in the immediate. But how do we learn from being impatient? We don't take the time to think. We don't take the time to listen. We want it then and now. Not tomorrow, not the future, but now. So we have to learn patience to achieve a state of happy. We have to experience the opposite of happy to know what happy is. We share our Namo, Amida, Butsu in whatever state we are in. It gives us guidance and it gives us direction. And we can be so thankful and show our gratitude for giving us those experiences of life. Our loved ones, when we share a relationship with others, it can be a state of happy, it can be a state of unhappy. It can be a time of joy, it can be a time of sadness. And it depends on the cause and conditions. And it depends on how we work ourselves, what we know of ourselves to make that relationship bloom into a state of happiness. You know, I've met people who have been married for over 70 years. And they tell me it's not always happy times for them. They've had to struggle. They've had to learn to know each other. And they've had to deal with each other. So being married 70, 75 years is not always bliss. But it must be more bliss than anything because they've remained married for 70-something years. If we could only have a relationship or a friendship with someone for 75 years, that's an achievement in itself. But you know, I think it comes down to how we see ourselves. Knowing ourselves, knowing who we are. We still have our greed, we still have our anger, we are ignorant, yet we learn. We can learn. They said you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but guess what? You can. They can learn. But it's a technique we have to use over and over to have them to learn new tricks. It's the same way as us. We have to learn new ways. But we can't learn those new ways if we don't have ourselves, to know our true self. And that self comes into, do we want to change or do we want to remain the same? Do we want to achieve a state of happiness? But to understand that the state is not permanent. It will change in a second. So, Groucho Marx, said his happy is today, not in the future, not in the past. That's gone. The past is gone. And the future has yet to arrive. We don't know what it will be. So, why not live today? And happy comes from just a simple state. It's a simple state. State of emotion, state of mind, state of a heart. And it's an easy thing to have. But it's when our greed and our anger and our ignorance and our ego steps in the way and it blocks us from having to be happy. As a minister, everyone thinks that I'm supposed to be happy all the time. I'm not. There are things that make me unhappy. And being a minister, I'm also a human. Loss of a family member. Loss of good friends. That state of happiness goes away. For a while, I do grieve for them. So, we're not always happy. There are times where it's just not a good day. But you know what? I have Namo, Amida, Butsu, to calm me, to give me patience, to make me stop and think. And to evaluate myself of what that unhappy comes from. So we take the present and we try to make it the best we can. We live it the best way we can. And there, when we are not happy, stop, think, listen to yourself, see what is triggering that inside of you that makes you unhappy. Maybe it's just plain ego getting in the way. But happy is a state of mind. And to understand that we're not always going to have that state. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of life. We can't be happy all the time, but we can have moments of true happy. And we enjoy them. We keep them. We bring it to heart. And we try to remember those times so that when we do come into circumstances or situations, we can go back and we can remember that state of happy. So I wish you all a happy day. If you would please put your palms together in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.